So this is my TNA Impact Wrestling review of the 31st January 2025 edition. I like this show much better than the last week's show. And let's start with the thing that I liked the most, which was Mustafa Ali, his match with Laredo Kid. I think the crowd was the hottest when Laredo Kid was like, yay, and people were like, yay. I think they were the hottest there. Their match was very good. I really liked it. Like some spots where, like when I think it was Mustafa who who pushed Laredo into the barricade, and the barricade went very far. It was like it bonked someone on the head or something. And when Laredo kid came through the bottom turnbuckle, but then Mustafa gave him a quick DDT. Like it was very fast. I really liked the action. Like this showed like his character beat like the citizens of TNA and everything. Like this is good. I really like this. I really like that Mustafa and Santana are kind of like going against each other. It felt like they were going for the TNA World Title last week. It feels like now it is much more of an individual feud that they have. I don't think whoever wins this feud will go for the TNA Championship in the future, because they didn't mention it at all when they confronted each other after the match in a backstage segment. And uh, Mustafa was like, I'll get your opponent next week. I can't really fight you right now because I just had a match. Santana was like, you give respect, I show respect. You didn't show me respect last week and everything. So one thing is that TNA really has a chance to do something great. Like they have talent, which I can see becoming main event talent there, or they can turn them into main event talent. The thing right now with the American Indies is that there is not a lot of exciting talent or talent that we can see that are like future stars are coming up. Like there are no AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Adam Cole, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, people like that anymore in the indie scene that you can build a company around, or that eventually when they go to a higher level they will be something. Like they have talent there, they have TV. Of course Access is not really that big, but they have Sportsnet, they have the partnership with NXT, they have the facilities, they have a lot of things which they can use. And I would like, rather than AJ Francis and Nick Nemeth being in the main event title scene. Okay, I get it that AJ Francis is someone who is a good heel for you, but he should be the one that who gets like a title shot like once or twice out of nowhere and eventually loses. His level is more like Impact Digital Media Championship, or maybe like the mid card belts, but they don't really have any mid card belts apart from like the X division and all. I like that is his level, or his level can be he can have feuds without the title also. Like Nick Nemeth can be kind of like the older statesman type, because sadly he is washed. I didn't hear anyone going gaga over Nick Nemeth matches last year. I heard people go gaga over Speedball Mike Bailey, but then Speedball Mike Bailey left TNA, which I think they could have done something with him. I heard about people going mad over El Hijo de Vikingos matches in TNA, but he has also left TNA. So the thing is that they have people kind of like Ace Austin, like even Casey Navarro. Like I get it. Like eventually this would lead to a angle where eventually Francis turns on Casey Navarro and everything. But does Casey Navarro need AJ Francis? Like the way he was taunting Nick Nemeth, the way he was moving in the ring, he has natural charisma. Like you can turn that guy into at least a mid card level star. Ace Austin, I see now that right now he has been a tag team wrestler, but with Chris Bay not being there, you can really make him something. I hope like he eventually takes the X Division title from Moose. Like you can build him into becoming something, man. Like you can, like, you are a company where you have smaller guys that may not have the opportunity to become top guys in other companies. You have guys who were in tag teams like Mike Santana who have a chance to becoming a top guy in your company. You have guys like Mustafa Ali whose yeah, like ceiling was like the United States Championship, and even if WWE pushes him like the Intercontinental Championship, you can make him a world champion. Like, have the main event mix be like an older statesman like Nick, a person like Joe Henry, like who's an inspiration. Like he's a comedy wrestler, but he's a guy, who eventually became so over in your company that he's a world champion. Have people like Mustafa, Mike Santana, maybe even one day an Ace Austin there, maybe a Zachary Wentz there. Like, make these guys into stars, and maybe some of them stick with you over the years rather than going to like AEW or WWE. Maybe if you make someone stars, your company may naturally get over. Like, you can make stars. You have done it with EC3, you have done it with Nick Aldis. Like, you have done this with people before also. So it's not like they can't do it, they just chose not to, because they choose people. Oh, ex WWE guy Nick Nemeth will be my world champion. Like, how does that work in the long term for you? Like, I hope they go forward with having that as the main event mix, and like give the X Division back to the X Division guys. Like, this system, like, it's so laughable. Like, they have all like the intros, JDC, Skull Mass, and it's Brian Myers. And Brian Myers comes out with, they have the America, they have the Destination America logo behind their name. Like, I am supposed to take a faction serious with guys like Dirty Dango and Brian Myers and 40-year-old Eddie Edwards and his wife with Moose of all people. I am supposed to take them seriously. So, Brian Myers had a really good match, probably my match of the night, because it had aspects, it had selling also. It looked like Brian Myers tried to make Ace Austin look like a star essentially, and he did. I really liked this match. In the end, you know, uh, what was her name? Alicia Edwards passed on the brass knuckles to Brian Myers, and Brian Myers won the match. Or I don't think it was against sorry, not Ace Austin. It was Leon Slater, and Leon Slater lost to Brian Myers by brass knuckles. I like I like Leon Slater. Like, I didn't know he was British. Like, he has good mic skills. He is funny. He can wrestle in the ring. I hope they give him a push in the future. In the backstage segment, you had him there, and then you had Frankie show up, and first of all, I was like, white guy telling the black guy to carry his bags. Hmm, what does that mean? But then Moose also said it, and everyone said. Then Frankie was a little bit funny, like he was just, you know, showing his trophy to everyone. Like, everyone kind of, like, even Frankie wanted him to carry his bags, which was very funny. Like, none of the heels see him as anything; they only see him as a bag boy. But then Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy showed up, and they were like, well, it was a very cringy line where Matt Hardy said, The goats will team up with Leon Slater to face three of you." But overall, it was fine, and it's set up for next week that Hardy's and Leon Slater will face, three members of the system. And there was a line by Matt Hardy which was very good, that you're the fourth of the system, because first Dango called them the washed Hardys, and I think Dango kind of messed up because he said, uh, washed Hardys twice, and then called Leon Slater the third Hardy twice, and his delivery was kind of like he forgot his lines or something, which was kind of awkward when he was in that segment. So that is set up for next week. You also had, Ash and Heather by Elegance backstage. Like Dana Brooke has improved so much, man. She looks good. Like she has reduced weight. She has done really good character work in this. Like Spitfire interrupted them. Santino Marella doing Santino Marella things as usual, and it was like that a knockouts battle royal will happen next week, and before that it was like give us a chance. I will beat you. I will beat you because he announced that Ash will be in that. But then he announced Heather will also be there, and Ash was like, you can help me beat them. You can help me, but I will beat them. I like that, and then that segment ended with one of the Spitfire giving him a fist bump, another one trying, but he like did the handshake and it didn't work. The opening segment, I missed some of it, but it was essentially Ryan Nemeth saying that Nick Nemeth saying to Ryan, we can go forward as a tag team, we can go forward as singles wrestlers, and then AJ Francis with Casey Navarro interrupted him, the first class, and they said that you lost to that bum Joe Henry and everything. Like, I've got the hottest deal in TNA right now. Then Santino set up a tag match for the main event. Why was this the main event? I think the way the segment was, it would have been better structured if it was an impromptu tag team match. I would have had either the Mustafa Laredo Kid main event, or you could have had the Wesley and Ace Austin match main event, because you have made Joe Henry your champion, having two people who are clearly having the people who are clearly going after your world title should be in the main event to make his title much more prestigious. And you could have had Santana confront Mustafa after the match, and it would have been a better match to end the show on. It was not like the match was bad. Like, going on to the Nemeth versus and Casey Navarro and AJ Francis. First of all, man, AJ Francis and Casey Navarro have a sus vibe. Like, when AJ Francis does the twerking and everything, like, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And it felt like Casey Navarro was not his protege, like he was his boy toy or something. It was pretty weird. But the match was fine. In the end, Nick Nemeth felt like he gave more of a shit as a wrestler and as a personality in this match rather than he did in his Genesis match against Henry. And he did all the 10 elbows, he hit the zigzag, but Ryan Nemeth did a blind tag and he pinned Casey to win the match. I think there were two spots that really got me in this match. One where the roll up by Casey, and the other when he hit the super kick and almost pinned Nick Nemeth. So I liked this, and it was fine, but it should have opened the show rather than ended the show. You also had, you know, Steph and Mansur they Warner at backstage, where Steph was like, I am the digital media champion, and Mansur was like, ours, the title is ours. So you already have an idea that this partnership will eventually end in conflict, because Steph is saying it's mine, he's saying it's ours, which is perfect kind of way. Then you had Sammy Callahan attack him. Then we went to a break. Then we came back, and you had the, I think, the Leon Slater segment there. I think I don't remember what was that. And then you had Sammy coming in and taking Mansoor to the ring, beating him up. Then Steph came out, and it was kind of like the same thing that happened last week. And then Mansoor beat him up, and they made out in the ring. Is this leading to Sammy Callahan getting a woman to face Steph alongside him against Steph and Mansoor? I think it is. I think it is leading to that. You also had Ariana Grace, the liaison between NXT and TNA, were having a backstage interview, which was confronted when she was interrupted by Tessa. Like, Tessa gives me very, like, she perplexes me, because at first when I saw her, I was like, she got that witch chin, she got that nibba chin, like that chin, like that bone there is so like out, and it's so weird. Like it's like this. Like it's so weird. Like I'm like, ugh. But then a second when I, saw a little bit downstairs, and it was like she got a great bod. And then third, I was see like she looks weird, but she looks hot at the same time. Like her face is bad, but it's fine enough, and combined with her body, like she's hot enough, but she's a racist. And then her promo at the starting was kind of woody, but she improved further. Tessa said that get out, you're not needed here and everything. And then she also was almost about to punch the backstage interviewers and said that remember this, and she was like nobody deserves to be here and everything, like your father. And I was it's like, why are you telling that to Ariana Grace that you are here only because of your father? You are here because of Tully Blanchard. Like, like people, like, if someone says Tessa Blanchard and people don't know who you are, they may only, you know, have like oh Blanchard, oh is she Tully Blanchard's daughter? Maybe in the indie scene it was like that. Like, so why are you telling that to her? So that was that with Tessa, and it was a fine enough segment in the end. It started a little bit woody, but it ended in a good way. Like I'm just kind of like on edge. Like you had someone from NXT interact with Tessa Blanchard, but Tessa also said that you're not needed here in TNA. Maybe it was a one and done. I hope it was a one and done. I don't want Tessa in WWE unless she gives a public apology. Like even Hogan did that. Like how much stubborn or a worse person you have to be that you're worse than even Hulk Hogan. Like just apologize in public. People will move on because they see talent in you, and in the end, like people will overlook that shit even if you give like a apology which we know is not genuine. But you're not even doing the basic thing in that. You also had backstage where Cora Jade was walking around. Like those TNA backstages, like those hallways are really small. Like everyone has a promo in that in front of that garage door, and Cora was coming in a very like small hallway with purple lights everywhere. She came and it was Zaya Brookside, and she said that welcome to TNA and everything, and Cora was like, why are you talking to me? Which was really funny. Like, who are you? I don't care. And Zaya was like, I don't remember. Did Zaya say that your dad trained me, or her dad trained her, and that they are from the same area? And it really made Zaya look like kind of a chump that she got angry on Cora because she was like, she doesn't want to talk to you. Like, you came on to her. Like, she on your first sentence she said that I don't want to talk to you, and you were like glazing her like, yeah, why won't you talk to me, why won't you talk to me, like a clingy little girl or something. And then they had a brawl or anything, and then it was stopped by security, which was very WWE coded. Then you had Cora versus Hein, where Hein was much more faster and better than Cora in the ring. Maybe it's the knee injury that stops Cora from being fast in the ring, but I don't remember even when she didn't have that knee issue that she was any much faster in the ring and all. I think Cora is mid in the ring, but if you put her with good opponents, she will not give you a bad match. She will just give you a good match with them if you're putting her with like good opponents, like people who can wrestle a lot better than her. But if you have her in the position where she has to be like the dominant one, like essentially she has to like call the match, she can't do that right now, and you'll probably have a boring or a nothing match. But then Cora won with the Jaded. Then you had Zaya Brookside coming after the match because Cora started beating up Hein. And then Zaya, like a stupid person, when Cora is just out of the ring, like she didn't wait for like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, which every baby face does, was like, when they come into the ring, the heel goes out, they will just like stare and say things. She immediately went not to look on the outside, and Cora just came in the ring and hit her with the jaded, which made Zaya Brookside kinda look like a chump. I'm not gonna lie. Then Cora was beating her up also. Then you had Masha come out and Cora ran away. She wore that cowboy hat. Cora is very hot and she went away. So we're probably having Masha versus Cora at some point in the future. I would like it to be at Stand and Deliver. Like this NXT TNA partnership will truly mean something if we have like NXT titles defended on not only TV but on TNA pay per views, and you have TNA championships defended on NXT pay per views. And it kind of makes sense with the overall story also, that you can have Cora Jade versus Masha at Stand and Deliver. It's not like the card, has a lot of things going on right now. Like they had to put Austin Theory and Grayson Waller in the main event with Oba, and they have a triple threat match, which is good with Julia, Roxanne, and Bailey. But story wise, it really doesn't make sense. Like why Bailey suddenly has a shot at the NXT championship. Like she didn't even beat Roxanne. She didn't even pin Roxanne in the tag match. She pinned Cora Jade, who has already lost so much. So again, it doesn't make sense. So you can add that match there, and it can really help the TNA partnership. I hope it will. And you also had, what else did you had? You also had the Ace Austin versus. You also had Joe Henry backstage promo, where he said that next week he's gonna have a concert, and I think it's probably going to get interrupted by Frankie Kazarian. I think that probably going to get interrupted by Frankie Kazarian. You also have like a Matt Cardona match next week. So moving forward, you had Eric Young and Josh Alexander taking on the Northern Army. I like them as a tag team in the ring, Northern Army, but their gimmick I don't get. Like they're just a bunch of crazies. Like that guy with the hair like goes like ah rah rah, but nothing else. Like this was a fine match. Eric Young turned on Josh Alexander with a great punch, and Northern Army hit their finisher. The match was called off because they just kept beating his ass, and then Eric Young laid him out with a reverse pile driver. Steve Macklin left the show because he doesn't trust anyone other than Eric Young, and it looks like Eric Young, the Northern Army is under the tutelage of Eric Young, and Eric Young has turned heel. Like whenever I have turned on TNA Impact, it has always been Eric Young as a heel. The one time that I see him as a babyface, that is on Genesis and last week's episode, and he turns heel in like 2 weeks. I don't know what is this leading to. This is probably leading to a Eric Young versus Josh Alexander match, which will end with Eric Young winning. But I think they should have someone young beat Josh Alexander going out, because Josh Alexander has carried this company in the pandemic. He has been world champion. Like he has kind of been like a Mr. TNA type figure for the past 6 years. Like it would really benefit if he loses to some established talent. Like you could have had Northern Armory beat him, or you could have some youngster beat him. Like rather than giving the win to Eric Young eventually. He doesn't have that much time left anyways. Like his contract ends on February 14th. He has like what 2-3 weeks. They have already taped whatever is going to happen. But let's see what happens in the future. You also had a Wes Lee backstage promo where he was like, the NXT Tag Team Championship is the goal of Tyreek and Tyrone. My goal is the NXT Championship, and whether it is NXT or TNA, we will, kick everyone's heads off who comes in our way to get to those goals. And I really like the backstage interviews expression when he said, kick those heads off, because it made it look like Wes Lee is a threat. Like she was also like, whoa, like she was also threatened. I really like that, and I would I would hope that it happens in WWE television also, where you get like the genuine reactions of those backstage interviewers. Like they have changed a lot with that. Kathy Kelly shows much more expressions, but like expressions of genuine horror or like, oh, like something is going to happen. I hope they do that more going into the future. Then you had the Ace Austin. I think I have talked about everything that happened on the show. Maybe if I missed anything, I hope to apologize. You had the Ace Austin versus Wesley match. Like I thought what this match would be, Ace Austin will get some of his licks in, but eventually like Wesley will win quite comfortably. Like this is kind of like the enhancement talent that they had against Wesley. Like okay, get some licks in Ace Austin, but eventually, get destroyed by Wesley. But it was not that. This was a pretty competitive match. Like one time, Ace Austin almost botched his, running, jumping, reverse splash out of the ring. Like he almost got his hand tangled on the rope, and he almost like hit his head on the mat. But Wesley caught, some of him at least. You had also where you generally expect someone to backflip and move away. Wesley Black backflipped and kicked Ace Austin in the face. This was a really good match. Ace Austin got a lot of offense. Like Wesley barely won the match. Like in the end, like Ace Austin beat up Tyreek and Tyrone, but even then, he got distracted and Wesley hit him with the, what was it called, cardiac kick or something, and he barely won the match. It was, and it is kind of counterproductive because you have a guy Wesley, who currently probably will go for the NXT championship in the future, and you have him like go not even 50-50, like 60-40, 55-45, 60-40 against a person who is primarily a tag guy and who just lost his match on the pay-per-view. So it is kind of counterproductive, but I still like it. I still like it. It shows that this partnership is not that lopsided. If it was very lopsided, this match would have ended in like 3 minutes. But he barely won. Now another thing that I don't understand. This happens everywhere. This happened on AEW television also, like where FTR and Copeland came after the match to help Jay White, not during the match where they could have helped him, actually win the match. He won the match, but they came after the match to help him. Why didn't the Rascals came out uh, to help Ace Austin when Tyreek and Tyrone came out? It was not like they were injured. So they waited for him to lose. They waited for him to get beat up more after losing, and then they came up to save him, which was like it doesn't make any sense. So that was my review of this TNA Impact Wrestling episode. This was a, I will say, this episode felt long, but it was a very wrestling heavy show, and I liked this show. Like I hope like the matches that we got, like Wesley versus Ace Austin and Mustafa versus Laredo Kid, should be the template for TNA Impact going forward. Like they have gold on their hands, but they just don't want to mold it. They don't want to mold it into something which can be, much bigger for them. I just hope this is the standard going forward, rather than seeing Nick Nemeth and AJ Francis main events, tag main events at that, in 2025. So if you like this type of content, like this video, share and subscribe. If you don't, share it with those who do. My social media links are in the description. Go follow me on that. My UPI ID link, shareboy@okicici is in the description also. You can donate any amount that you feel, so it will help me to become a permanent YouTuber. So that was it for me for right now. So thank you. Goodbye. Alvida.